and welcome to CNBC TV 18 special series, The Olympian Effort. We are in London to find out how the city is preparing for the world's biggest sporting spectacle. And the first thing we have to report is that the weather has been living up to its notorious reputation. The opening ceremony is less than a fortnight away and bad weather will be a killjoy. Pretty much like the damper the behavior of India's top tennis stars has put on our collective mood. Today we are continuing to look at India's medal prospects, starting with the tennis squad.
Between them, they have won a combined 25 Grand Slam titles in men's doubles and mixed doubles, 3 of those playing together. Their acrimonious splits and attempted reconciliations have played out in full view of the nation. Mahesh Bhupathi and Leander Paes' personal battles have once again made Indian tennis look bad.
Things couldn't have got uglier for us in Indian tennis, last week. It's unbelievable.
This time it began with Bhupathi refusing to play doubles with Paes at the London Olympics. The AITA finally brokered a compromise formula that saw Mahesh Bhupathi and regular partner Rohan Bopanna get one of 2 Indian entries in the men's doubles event. India's #1 doubles player Leander Paes would be teamed with relative unknown Vishnu Vardhan in the men's doubles, but would also play mixed doubles with Sania Mirza, who is paired with Paes instead of her regular partner Bhupathi, with whom she won the French Open title in June. A fact that she's not happy about.
I never said that I will not play with a person because I don't, get along with him or because I do. Repeat, I will play with Leander, Mahesh, Vishnu, Rohan, Somdev, whoever the country thinks I'm good enough to play with. But I did have a problem the way they paired me up to play with someone.
The Olympic tennis tournament will be held in Wimbledon, the same grass courts that are considered the spiritual home of tennis. But given the bad blood and muckraking we have seen in the build-up to India's participation, an Olympic medal here seems like a long shot.
Now that kind of politics is disheartening, but not without precedent where those guys are concerned. And it comes to a boiling point when something so big as the chance to participate and win at the Olympics is at stake. Before that controversy broke, I had spoken to Leander Paes and his father, Dr. Wes Paes, only the second father-son duo, I think, to have represented India at the Olympics. They are talking about the Olympian effort and the Olympic spirit.
I think in our lifetimes, we're not going to see another Olympics, at least in tennis, ever being played at Wimbledon again. Yeah. And that's what makes it special for me. Wimbledon is like a second home. I love those courts. I've had amazing memories on those courts, know them like the back of my hand. Each court plays individually. I've won the junior singles on court number 3, gone and won 3 mixed doubles and a doubles title there. And playing at Wimbledon is going to be a lot of fun.
The Olympics are completely different from any of the Opens you've played. So what happens that's different? If you can just articulate that for people who don't get it.
Well, for one, Wimbledon is a professional tournament. The Olympics, you're not playing for that commercialized event. The courts are going to be playing the same. The locker rooms and the ambiance is going to be the same. But there's certainly going to be a different aura. The mood is going to be completely different during the Olympics, and that's something that I've always thrived on. To me, to play the Olympics has been the greatest part of my career, and every Olympics has been really special in its own way, right from Barcelona. Because to qualify for Barcelona, I had to go to Japan, to Osaka, and play on a slow clay court there, and qualify, which was really hard. But every Olympics has been special in its own way.
Dr. Paes, Munich in 1972, it's exactly 40 years, later that we are speaking.
You're exposing my age anyway.
I'm sorry, but with age comes great memories.
Okay.
So what are your sharpest memories of that event, being at the Olympics, being in Munich in 1972, and of that match, the match that you beat Netherlands 2-1 to get the bronze medal for India?
Yeah, for one, representing your country in the Olympics is huge. As Leander says, that's the epitome of all sports. The advantage that we had probably over Leander played an individual event like tennis, which is tough, much tougher than what we had to go to. Ours was a team event, so you're actually celebrating the whole atmosphere with 14 other players.
What are your memories of Barcelona, which was the first? Because you would have, we know about the master plan, so you were conceived during the Olympics, you had to play in the Olympics, right? So when you went to Barcelona, do you remember that tournament? What is your most vivid memory of that?
I remember before I caught the flight to Barcelona, Dad was like, this is your first Olympics, enjoy it. And even when Ramesh Krishna and
Really?
myself...
Did he say enjoy it, or did he say drag on that medal?
No, he was like, enjoy it.
Okay.
He was exactly
It
like,
takes
enjoy it.
time to win Olympic medals. So as I told you, we go on an 8-year cycle. The
Yeah.
first year, you work out the systems, you get to feel the atmosphere. And in the first Olympics, you're generally around 20, 21. The peak year is 25, 26, so you
Right.
take it on the second cycle.
Dr. Pez, for people who are watching who may be budding sports people, what would you say are the qualities that you need to have and need to work on to be an Olympian? Because it's different, isn't it, to be an Olympian?
It starts from the day you're born. That's what the East Germans have proven. And what the East Germans came up with is what they call a peak performance program, where fitness is not just based on physical fitness or training. Fitness is based on lifestyle management. So you start controlling that lifestyle from the cradle, and they started hand-eye coordination drills and all in there. Up till 12 years old, you are giving the kid a lot of opportunities in team sport, in individual sport, and you're building up a fondness for sport, which they'll keep for the rest of the year, rest of their life.
Yeah.
Because at 12, when you do your sports selection, and in Leander's case, he went for tennis, although soccer is his more
first love, I think,
passionate sport. He's a better soccer player than he's a tennis player, but because of various medical issues, he had to switch out of contact sport. But because from 12 onwards, it takes about, they call it the rule of 10. 10 years, 10,000 hours with 20,000 repetitions to take yourself from a promising kid that he was at 12 to 25, 26 years old to be a champion. So that's how it is. Now, if you do the mathematics, it means you're practicing 3 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 to 12 years. So that's the way it is.
When Leander returns to Wimbledon at the end of July, he will be participating in his 6th consecutive Olympics, and that is an incredible achievement, even if the bickering over partners has taken off a bit of the shine. Up next on the Olympian effort, other sports where India is most likely to win medals. We'll be back in just a bit.
I couldn't go in the last Olympics, and I was in good form then. I just shot a world record a few months before the Olympics, but I've been really looking forward to this one, and I knew London would be mine.
Welcome back. You're watching the Olympian effort, our special series on CNBC TV 18. India is sending its largest contingent to the Olympic Games since the quota system was replaced with qualifying standards. Simply put, that means we're not just filling quota spots, but are sending athletes who have a decent chance at winning medals. In 2004 and 2008, shooting has been the sport that has brought India the most medals. Who are the shooters to watch out for this year? And what is the rest of the Indian contingent likely to deliver? Let's take a look.
In London, Abhinav Bindra, India's first individual gold medal winner, will be looking to defend the medal he had won in the 10-meter air rifle event at Beijing 4 years ago.
Abhinav Bindra must have waited for this moment for a long time to come.
Since that iconic moment, Abhinav has battled a slump in form. Though he won a gold medal in the 10-meter air rifle pairs event at the Commonwealth Games in Delhi, he had to settle for silver in the individual event behind teammate Gagan Narang. However, the experienced big tournament performer is peaking at the right time. He clinched gold at the Asian Shooting Championships held at Doha in January, form that he will take with him to London.
He only rises to the occasion, so to speak. I mean, that's the way his career has panned off. He's always been, a contender and winning a world championship or an Olympics, and then there's a little bit of a lull. He's not one of those athletes who do very well in the World Cups and things like that.
India will be sending its largest ever contingent of 11 shooters to London, and the team is eyeing at least 3 to 4 medals. Shouldering some of the burden of expectation will be the other rifle shooter Gagan Naran, who made it to the final at Beijing only to finish 10th. But since then, he has rebounded in style, winning gold at the 2010 Commonwealth Games by shooting a world record perfect 600 and following it up with gold at the Asian Games. In the shotgun events, Indian hopes will be resting on Manavjit Singh Sandhu and Ranjan Sodhi. While Manavjit will be trying to rise above his performance at his 2 previous Olympic outings, Ranjan Sodhi goes into his first Olympics on the back of a series of strong performances. Commonwealth and Asian Games gold, as well as the world #1 ranking in 2010.
2010 was one of the fantastic years of my career, and winning the World Cup final, winning the World Cup in Leonardo, and winning the Asian Games. So I think ever since, I've changed as a person mentally also, because when you win top medals like in the World Cup, World Championships and World Cup finals, you start believing in your abilities. So I think 2010 changed me as a person and my mental approach towards shooting as well.
There are 4 women shooters heading to London. Pistol shooters Anuraj Singh, Rahi Sornabat and Hina Sidhu, and the first Indian woman to qualify for the shotgun events, Shagun Chaudhary. 23-year-old Hina Sidhu will compete in London after the National Rifle Association of India elected to send her instead of 2004 medalist Rajyavardhan Rathod.
After the Olympic match, or any match for that matter of fact, I want to be satisfied that today I gave my best and I couldn't have shot better. Olympics is just another day for me to show everybody and myself that yes, I can do it.
While the shooters are hot medal prospects, India is sending entries in judo, table tennis, weightlifting, rowing and athletics. In the track and field events, 2010 Commonwealth Games medalist Krishna Punya and Vikas Gowda are India's best prospects for the coveted but elusive athletics medals.
I'm not sure exactly what Krishna Punya's chances are like. Seema Antal is also competing in the discus, and she wants to sort of outbeat Krishna Punya. Women haven't really done well in barring Anju Bobby George, who actually reached her personal best at an Olympic Games. That, I think, never mind the medal, when it comes to track and field. You want your athletes, your track and field athletes, to reach their personal best at an Olympic Games. Then you know that they have actually left everything of themselves over there.
Heading to London without the hype that surrounds the other medal probables is the archery team. 2012 is the first time India has qualified archers for every available spot. 3 men and 3 women will enter the individual events, the maximum number permitted per country, as well as participate in the men's and women's team events. Hopes are especially high from the Commonwealth Games gold medalist Deepika Kumari and from the women's team event.
We've had people who are #1 in the world for a significant time. We've had people who won at a lot of stages, but not that Olympic medal. And we've come close. I mean, we were 1 arrow away from a medal in Athens, and the women's team was 1 arrow away, and they shot a 4, which is unheard of. So I do believe that the archers have the chance, this group especially, has the chance to get over the hump and win a medal.
India will also be sending a 3-man rowing squad to London and only 1 swimmer, the relatively unknown Gagan Ulalmat, who received a university quota place, given to countries who don't have a qualified swimmer in the Olympic events from the international governing body, FINA. India's Olympic medal tally has grown at a snail's pace. A bronze each in Atlanta and Sydney, a silver at Athens, followed up with 3 medals at Beijing. Heading into London, the country expects 10, maybe even 15 medals. But the real task ahead of Team India is to significantly improve the medal tally from Beijing.
So that's what you can expect from the Indian contingent. Let's take a break here, but when we come back, we'll tell you about the role being played by philanthropists and NGOs in helping us achieve our Olympic dreams.
Last year, we raised around 3 crores and we spent approximately the same amount.
We've recently announced that we're going to extend to 2016 because everything we've seen so far has been so positive.
Welcome back. You're watching the Olympian effort on CNBC TV 18. You know, we've collectively lamented India's poor performance at the Olympics. 1, 2, 3 medals is the best we've done. And for a nation of over 1 billion people, somehow this just doesn't add up. While the government and the Sports Authority of India have worked to a master plan for the London Games, making a big difference to the chances of our sportsmen and women, our NGOs and highly motivated individuals willing to do whatever it takes.
In countries like China, the USA or Great Britain, once identified elite athletes can single-mindedly concentrate on their training and performance. Their funding, nutrition and competition schedules for each Olympic cycle is planned up to 8 years in advance by their national sports bodies and governments. India's top athletes, meanwhile, have had to battle poor infrastructure, lack of funds, apathy and even hidden agendas. With first-hand experience of the Indian system and keen to help the next generation, two of India's most successful sportsmen, Keith Sethi and Prakash Padukone, started the Olympic Gold Quest or OGQ in 2006. A non-profit organization that looks at companies and individuals for donations, OGQ supports 6 sports: archery, athletics, badminton, boxing, shooting and winter sports. At the London Olympics, 16 members of the Indian contingent will have benefited from OGQ.
Last year, we raised around 3 crores and we spent approximately the same amount. So every year going forward, I'm sure the funding requirements are going to be increasing. I must mention some of our key supporters like the Rakesh Jhunjhunwala Foundation, Bajaj Foundation, Edelgift Foundation, Temasek, JM Financial, Godrej. There have been so many organizations, ASK Foundation, I think I mentioned Edelgift Foundation. There have been so many corporates who have been helping us really. Individuals have contributed. We also have a program called Power Your Champion, where we have a dream that 1 million Indians will contribute just ₹100 a month.
The Mittal Champions Trust is the personal initiative of industrialist Lakshmi Mittal. It was triggered by the Athens Olympics, where Rajyavardhan Rathor's silver medal was the only medal that India won. 15 athletes supported by the Mittal Champions Trust have qualified for London. Amit Bhatia, the managing trustee and the man who spearheads Mittal Investments' interests in sports, says London 2012 will be the big test.
We sort of set ourselves a target of 2012 saying that's 2 Olympic Games away. And it gives us and the athletes enough time for us to try and help them with training and nutrition and mental coaches and physiotherapists and exposure to different tournaments around the world. But from ourselves, it allows us to judge ourselves and score ourselves. Are we being able to really make a difference or not? Are we being able to help athletes or not? Are we being able to embark on an initiative and actually come out on the other side victorious or not? And so when we set it up, we said 2 Olympic Games away at 2012. Let's see what we can do. And so, it's a big test, and we've recently announced that we're going to extend to 2016 because everything we've seen so far has been so positive. Our athletes won 44 combined medals in the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games, which we think is a fantastic number. So I hope it'll progress in 2012.
Right, so you're saying that Mittal Champions Trust is going to stay invested up to 2016?
Right, so initially we'd said 2012.
Yes.
And then recently, my father-in-law announced that we're going to extend it by another 4 years. And really that comes down to the fact that we think that we're doing well. We think that we're helping athletes. We think we're giving something back.
Is the test going to be the conversions from qualifiers to medals that will tell you whether you've done well or not, or whether the MCT has lived up to its sort of purpose? Or is it the fact that you've got, 15 qualifiers out of a bunch of 33, 35 athletes that you've supported over the past 4 or 5 years?
I think that It's an equation that's made up of all of these variables. I think that to have an almost 50% conversion rate of athletes we've taken in to those that qualify for the Olympics is something we can be proud of. The other number that I think is very important is of our 15, that represents almost a quarter of the entire Indian contingent coming in. And I think that that again goes to show that private initiatives can be successful in helping athletes to qualify. And then eventually, of course, the medals matter. And so we just want the athletes to go and perform their best, give it their best chance. And if all of that happens, then I feel confident that maybe we'll come out and we'll have a set of results that we can all be quite proud of.
When it comes to Mittal Investments and your family, this is clearly a philanthropic exercise, isn't it? So it started with $10 million as the initial investment. Would you be able to tell us what kind of further investments can be expected, especially now that the commitment has been extended up to 2016?
Yeah, $10 million that we initially put in the corpus was a number to work with. I think with any organization, philanthropic or otherwise, we should have, good set of guidance and budgets, and everybody should work within them. That number we threw it out of the window a long time ago. What we sort of decided to do a long time ago was we're going to run this like a proper organization. We're going to make sure that checks and balances are in place, but we're not going to let capital become a reason why we're not going to do something. And so today, rather than having a corpus of 10 million or more, or increasing that going forward, we literally draw down on a need basis. I don't think in 8 years I've ever had a conversation where we've denied an athlete anything based on cost. And we don't want that to be the case. So my father was very firm on the fact that if we're going to do this, we have to do it right. We have to be best in class. And so the amount of money that gets spent until 2012 or till 2016 is not really of significance, because we're not going in with the budget in mind anymore, and we'll spend on a need basis.
What is the analysis or understanding of the existing sports administrative structures in India over the course of the Mittal Champions Trust being in existence? Because we've had scandals associated with the Indian Olympic Association's head. We have a sports minister who has a sports bill which has received a lot of support but is not going through because cricket is under its ambit, and politicians with cricket associations are not willing to let that go through. What is the Mittal Champions Trust sort of understanding of how sports is being run in India?
Sure, it's a super question, because it was one of the big challenges that we faced when we first launched. We learned a lot from Mahesh Bhupati, who had already had exposure to how Indian federations work. Equally from our administrator Manisha Malhotra, who I think has been stellar in how she's dealt with it. The answer is that for the first couple of years, we saw a lot of resistance. But I think, like with most things in life, when people don't know what something is, they often hesitate to accept it. And a lot of the local bodies, the federations, on a national level, on a state level, and then at a local level, gave us a little bit of resistance. They weren't sure what we were trying to do. Were we trying to eat into their funding? Were we trying to undermine their authority? What were we really there for? And so it took us a while. The first couple of years was difficult. There was bureaucracy, there was red tape, there was challenges. But very pleased to say that as they understood who we were and what we were trying to do, as they understood that this was not a corporate but a philanthropic initiative, as they learned that we were happy to work alongside them, etc. Over the last 5 years, I think we've been welcomed. The governments have been extremely receptive. And so it's been a challenging initial part of the journey towards the end, and I hope that that translates to other parts of how sport is run, but our experiences became increasingly better and better.
Okay, so I know we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves, but out of 15 qualifiers, what is MCT, what is Mittal Champions Trust thinking of or expecting in terms of conversions into medals?
Well, if you think about it, we had 1 medal last time, so 2 would be pretty cool this time.
That's being very, very careful, isn't it? A good showing by Indian athletes in July, August will only spur the commitment of the Mittal Champions Trust and the Olympic Gold Quest. On this series, we're saluting everyone's Olympian effort. Join us next week as we get you how this city is preparing for the Games. Same time, same place next week. Do tune in.